All right, we're back in Studio K with By Will Alone. How are y'all feeling coming off of that performance?
Feeling good.
Yeah, feeling good, feeling good.
Yeah, feeling pretty good.
Sounded good. All right, so right off the bat, do y'all want to introduce yourselves? Just give us your name and instrument.
I'm Will. I play guitar and do vocals.
I'm Wilson. I play drums and do vocals sometimes.
I'm Roman. I play bass and on occasion vocals.
Sweet. So we just listened to Henry, parts 1 and 2, Haley's Comet, and Pure Guava. What do y'all want to tell us about those songs? Are those out right now?
They're not out, but they will be out soon. We've been working on them. We made Henry Part 1 and 2 like over a year ago at this point, and then kind of made like fuller demos of them this year, and yeah, they're in the works. They're on the way. So
Sweet.
Yeah, Haley's Comet is coming out like later this year probably, but Pure Guava and Henry Part 1 and 2 are going to be released like really soon. So we're excited for that.
Okay. Are those y'all posted about having a single coming out soon?
That's going to be those 3 tracks.
Sweet. And right now, you guys have the Dowling EP that came out a few months ago.
Yeah.
And then there's the soundtrack for the ICU movie.
Yeah. So our first 2 releases were very ambient focused and like kind of intentionally because now we're writing a lot more like rock indie stuff to kind of change, or I guess set the tone of like we can do ambient stuff, but also this is By Will Alone was supposed to be like a, indie rock group.
yeah.
So did y'all form to make the soundtrack for the movie, or was it? How did that?
No, it was
about?
like the soundtrack is actually like mostly Wilson's like originals.
Okay.
But we kind of worked on the main theme and some of the like recurring like there's like the main theme and that like riff is like recurring in the movie. And we worked on that together, and so we kind of just like Wilson was putting the soundtrack together, and then they were like, should this just be like the first By Will Alone release? And I was like, low key, yeah, because
It was only us 2.
yeah, it was just us 2 at the time. So yeah.
Sweet. And Wilson, you've got another movie coming out soon, right? Are y'all doing the soundtrack for that, or?
The soundtrack, yeah. We're not doing the soundtrack for this upcoming one.
Okay.
It's like has no we like I don't know, not really. It's a different vibe. When it comes out soon, you'll see. And By Will Alone is playing a show for like the premiere of that upcoming, which I'm excited for.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. So when the band formed, it was just Will and Wilson. When did Roman join?
It's recently.
I joined, I think in February. I was a part of another group called Emoji, and Will and Wilson asked me to, they were in need of a bass player, and they asked me to play bass with them, and my 2 bandmates moved away. So it made sense for a new place to call home. Was playing bass for By Will Alone, yeah. But it's been a lot of fun playing the last few months.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to ask about a few months ago, y'all did a world tour with Emoji.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We went to like Japan, like
Yeah.
South Korea,
Brazil.
Berlin and Australia too.
Yeah, it was sweet. But yeah,
And
Emoji's
Wisconsin.
an awesome band.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the highlights were Eau Claire, Wisconsin. That was pretty hype. So
Sweet. Yeah, it looked really fun.
yeah, it was fire.
Okay. So, yeah, we already talked about the band started, but how did all y'all, like, first meet and, like, start playing music together?
Man, well, me and Wilson go way back. We've been friends since like elementary school, and we just kind of started making music together. I don't know, we were like just chilling when we were like 14 or something, and like we were like trying to make beats and stuff, and then we just kind of started rapping on them, and then we just like it just progressed and evolved, and now we're doing this together. So
I started drumming, and then I kind of just had like a want to be a part of a band where I was like the drummer. That was a really cool idea for me, and that like took like a lot of like several years to actually come to fruition, but now it is, and it's like happening really fast, and it's been great. And Roman's like just the newest addition because we started hanging out with him like a year ago around this time, and so now it's just been growing so fast, and now we're recording new music with Roman too, so that's great.
Yeah, I met Will first through skateboarding like a million years ago with Finn. But yeah, it's been recent as far as I was getting, more recent, meeting Wilson and then also, making music together, obviously.
And speaking of skateboarding, I heard there's an incident with this band involving Xavier So Based on a...
Speak on that.
So I was living in New York for a time, and he told me not to pull up to Riverside Skate Park, and I told him to step off, and then I moved back like 3 weeks later. Not because of the incident, but yeah, I mean, I don't think he remembers who I am, but I really like to state that I had a beef with Xavier So Based. I think that was awesome. I think it gives me some street cred.
That's right.
So we're not expecting to collab with him anytime soon?
No.
Okay.
Not right now, but like you never know what
Yeah.
You never know.
Things could change. Okay,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, we already talked about how the band formed, but I'm always curious, how did y'all like individually start getting into music? Because you guys play in like hip hop projects, shoegaze, like all sorts of things. Like, what were some of the first bands you got into? Like, how long have you been playing music?
For me, it was like I have two brothers that are much older, and they did music growing up, so I was just trying to be like them when I was growing up, and I just like took piano lessons, sang in choir, picked up guitar, just like was always involved with music growing up. So it's kind of just been a thing for me my whole life, and then it's kind of just evolved into me having a lot of different projects and passions when it comes to music and different styles and alleys I like going. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Will said a minute ago, I started with like mainly an interest for like hip hop, and that's kind of how Will and I's friendship formed, was like strongly off music, and that kind of turned into like a love for all genres, and now I'm like teaching myself practically to play the guitar, and like it's really sweet that it's come such a long way from just like Earl Sweatshirt type beat on YouTube.
For me, a lot of my musical interest stems from my dad, who plays guitar. And so, when I was 9, all of a sudden I wanted to start playing guitar, so I started taking lessons, and I don't know, progressing from, playing music that my dad likes to maybe doesn't like, and then all of a sudden likes again, I think that's kind of where my path goes.
For sure. Yeah, so y'all talked about when this band formed, the idea was doing more of an ambient thing, or was it always doing an indie rock thing, or like how has y'all's sound evolved?
I think it started as like a indie rock, in that like it was just Will and I kind of wanting to do or like make a sound that was like kind of similar to what we had been hearing in Minneapolis, I think is one way to put it. And like as we kind of started like out, we quickly realized like we were more interested in doing other things right away. So it kind of became like, let's just like, we'll make By Will Alone a thing eventually, but like who knows when. And then it just happened to be like ambient tracks were our first two like big releases, and now we're finally kind of getting to the indie rock part. But it definitely was always like the plan is like to play shows and like write sick riffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it kind of started, we were just like jamming in the basement, and then Wilson like got a drum kit and was trying to get better, and then I had like a lot of riffs, and so we just like started making songs. But then we had these like you had mentioned, like we had ideas of other stuff to do. Like we had come up with the idea for Dowling like a minute ago. We recorded it like a year ago and stuff, and like with the soundtrack that had been coming together for the last like few years. So we just had the ideas of that stuff, and we were like, well, we can just put it under the same project, because it's like kind of just encompasses like the music that the two of us are trying to make together as like us two, and then now with Roman too. So yeah.
So what's the songwriting process like then?
It's kind of just like usually I'll just like have a riff or like chord progression, and we'll just like jam on it, and then it'll just become a thing. Pretty much that's how all our songs were.
Pure Guava just literally started one morning with Will playing acoustic guitar and me on like brushes on the drums, and then it's now like sounds way different. So it really can come from anything, but like I think a lot of them is usually a lot of what we usually write is just like Will's voice memos, and then we just kind of turn it into random songs, and then Roman comes over and learns the bass, and it's super like smooth. Yeah.
Word. And so you mentioned kind of forming this band to sound like some other stuff that you've heard around Minneapolis. Are there any like specific bands that have influenced y'all's sound, or?
Oh, it's coming to me. Local bands that have influenced the sound.
Or it can be any bands.
Any bands. I mean, I'm gonna hand the mic to Will because Will has the most, I'd say, songwriting prerogative and initiative. So,
Yeah, I think like locally, there's not like, for me, there's not like a ton of like local influence, but more just like, it was cool to do something like kind of like a little more laid back, like a little more like, you know, it's indie and like kind of slacker vibe, you know? And I mean, like Mouthful is like huge influence. Shout out Mouthful. And just like, you know, all the friends in their bands, always the big influence. But I feel like in general, for like musical influences, like I don't know, there's like kind of broad ones like Alex G. I don't know. I feel like that's like a lot of people's influence, you know, but like
Definitely a big influence for us.
yeah, huge for us. Like Alex G, MJ Lenderman, like,
That kind of like garage rock
yeah,
kind of sound where it's like very DIY.
yeah, that's kind of, influence for us for sure.
And for all the recordings that y'all have put out so far, what's that recording process been like? Where have y'all done that?
Well, for Dowling, we just like pulled up to Dowling Elementary School in South Minneapolis and set up mics and recorded. They have like a big music like section with xylophone type of things, like mallet instruments, and we just like set up 3 mics and just like recorded for 30 minutes, and then did some stuff like in post, added some guitar and piano and stuff.
Like viola and yeah, it was basically just like a really long like track that we started with, and then over like literally like 10 months, we just kept adding more and more and just like random sounds and stuff like that to make it a full like experience, I'd say. And like yeah, the soundtrack too was like obviously like written for the movie, so like a lot of it was like I would have a scene that would need music somehow, and then it would just be me like turning to Will like, yo, let's go record piano for this, like we'll just see what happens, or like me just like playing a synth, and then it works really well, and it's literally like one note, you know. It's just like it comes very naturally, I think, at least the ambient stuff for sure.
Yeah, and for recording, for like the stuff we have in the works, like the songs we played that are recorded, like we just record at our house. Like I recorded all the guitar stuff in my room, and we recorded all the drums in our basement, and then we're doing all the mixing ourselves too. So
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, then a final question for y'all that we like to ask everyone who comes in is, if you're putting together a dream bill, it's by Will alone, and then y'all can pick a venue and like each pick a dream band or artist to play with, what's that bill gonna be?
can it be like current or
It can be anyone.
anyone?
Dead or alive.
Dead or alive.
Current or broken
Okay.
out.
How many bands?
Y'all can each pick a band.
Okay. I would say for me, it would be Wait, so we each pick. Wait.
Well, you can do it how you want. You can pick a
Okay.
full
Let's-
bill if you want.
Let's each pick a bill.
Okay.
I've got some. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like so we're gonna play at First Ave, and it's gonna be
Word.
By Will Alone, and By Will Alone headlining epic banger. Okay, By Will Alone, The Sundays,
Okay.
Feeble Little Horse,
Okay.
and Alex G. That's
Dope.
that's my By Will Alone bill.
I'll be there.
Thanks, bro. Venue. Target Center. No, I'm playing. I don't know. I would say First Ave too, just because that'd be awesome. I feel like that'd be a dream, low key. But By Will Alone, Arthur Russell, MJ Lenderman, and that's it. That's it.
Sweet.
For me, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon of saying First Ave, partially out of a lack of creativity in this moment, partially because I think that would be awesome.
Right.
As someone who grew up in the Twin Cities, it's like, yeah. For me, I have two personal favorite bands that I have to include, just because Replacements and Title Fight. And if I had to pick a third band, as of today, I don't know. Maybe just two bands then. I'm not sure I could pick a third. Third band is an opener that I'd think of 5 seconds before the set starts.
Yeah. Sweet.
That's my answer.
All right. That's sick. All right. Yeah. Just final question. Are there any shows or releases coming up y'all want the people to know about?
We're playing a show June 5th on the Fritz movie premiere, my new movie, Wilson Hunter production. Yeah, that is going to be really fun, and definitely more shows this summer. June 5th is where? It's in South Minneapolis. I can't say the address, but like DM our Instagram. You can. By Will Alone is our Instagram. Bywill.alone, and that is where you can find the address.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what we got coming up. Singles soon, really soon,
soon.
really soon,
Incredibly soon.
incredibly
All right.
soon.
Exciting
Expeditiously.
stuff.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming in, y'all. It's been really fun.
Thanks,
This
Charlie.
has been Bio Will Alone on Radio K, Real College Radio.